This is Steve Root here. It's May 14th, 2025. Something I see artists doing all the time that's done from not being very observant. I have a character called Judah Maccabee. He's an ape. He's a large gorilla type character. So he's basically a bodybuilder with short legs. And for some reason, through non-observance, they keep giving him human proportions, like the crotches in the middle, that kind of stuff. Well, he doesn't have those proportions. If you don't have that, you don't have him. And if you don't have him, you're not being observant. And I see this over and over and over. People keep making the same mistakes. Height-wise, that's not hard. When I do my model sheets, obviously there's a size comparison. Every model sheet on a cartoon show always has this. You know, the heroes are about 6'2", 6'3". The other guys are, 5'10", the normal shrimpy kind of heights. The guys like me, the girls are about 5'6", 5'7". The aliens, like the grays, are like 4 foot nothing. So look, this is all stuff you invent, and it's better to get these things down now before you start drawing them, so you know this stuff before you start. I generally always do these things just to keep myself honest before I start drawing. So when I have these, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm getting into, and it's solidified before I even start. And I feel very comfortable going forward from there. My own personal experience, I'll give you one example. In Nexus, in the early days, I decided I was going to draw Orson Welles as one of the characters. Well, I had a couple shots of Orson Welles, so that made it easy. It would have made it extremely hard, if not impossible, to just draw them out of my head. So I had to have some pictures, some good pictures of him to make this work. To make anything work, if you're going to borrow a celebrity likeness, you need at least a front shot and a side shot of the character, hopefully a 3/4 as well. So finding those is going to be critical. For someone that has basic drawing skills, that should be enough to get you through the likeness. The hardest people to get likenesses from, if you're borrowing them as characters in your comic or illustration, are going to be people that are very handsome or very pretty. These are the people that have features so handsomely generic or prettily generic, it's hard to nail their features. They're so even and so standard, it's hard to get a grip on them. One of the things I've learned to do with standard handsome people is to take something about them, some tiny little quirk that they do. So that's one way to take a face that's standardized in its handsome or prettiness, to make it recognizable. People that are caricatured, that have large features like huge noses or long ears or funny shaped heads, are a lot easier to capture. So you can just employ some caricature to exaggerate those things to get them to look like the way they're supposed to. As far as Nexus goes, I've always based him on a certain character, which is Captain Kirk. So he's always kind of been my go-to guy for that. Sundra Peale is generic. She just is my basic standard pretty girl. And if she's going to look like anyone, it would either be Marilyn Monroe or, which I came to find out later on, is Honey Dorian from the Rip Kirby strip. Anyway, Honey Dorian looks exactly like Sundra Peale, but I didn't discover this until decades later. Anyway, she's a good resource to look at when I draw Sundra Peale, because Alex Raymond, the artist of Rip Kirby, is second to none. Use the best to work from. I called Frank Miller in New York and said, how are you getting a likeness of these certain characters? And he said, well, there's something called a Fairburn system. I said, what's that? He goes, well, it's just, you spend $1,000 on these 9 books, and it shows you every imaginable kind of pose from people, adults to little kids. So I bought those things, and it was a great resource. I use them to this day. Not extensively, but they did come in very handy. Back then, there was no such books available except for the occasional book like the Fairburn system. This is an example of how the Fairburn system used heads, and there are literally hundreds of such individuals that are featured in the Fairburn system. And it's very slow turnaround, so you can get an idea of exactly how they look. These are things you study, try to figure out exactly what makes them look like them. Here's an example of everyone's favorite cynic, Alex Toth, from one of his hundreds and hundreds of model sheets done for his HB Hanna-Barbera TV shows. And this is a perfect example of his mastery of drawing here. How he got to be so perfect and expert at these head drawings is pretty amazing, because every one of them looks exactly like the same guy in the front shot right here. I myself would like to take a shot at just using this one head and trying to get them from every angle. So that's what I can tell you for now. I would say that there's nothing that I can tell you that doesn't involve a lot of hard work. It's problem solving. If you like problem solving, or you can call it whatever word you want, it's just what I guess I would call them impediments that come up all the time. You're drawing this panel like I would do. I would say, I think Orson Welles would be perfect. I would see Orson Welles as the president, so I would find these pictures, and like I said, I would use them, and I think people got a big charge out of them, and it was fun. And just gather the reference that you can accumulate. That's what made drawing comics fun for me. So give it a shot. Use your resources, your own resources, to figure out a way to learn these very hard to draw things. If it comes easy to you, all the better. But if it came hard, like it did for me, we're in the same boat. So let me know how it goes for you, and I look forward to seeing your tries and your accomplishments. So take care. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.